The presenting sponsor of Pod Save America is SimpliSafe Home Security. Right now, SimpliSafe's offering our listeners 50% off a new security system. SimpliSafe makes it easy to protect what's important to you with advanced security technology and 24/7 professional monitoring. SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. SimpliSafe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. Their 24/7 professional monitoring service costs under $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system.
Losers. I'm talking about competition.
Yeah, that's right. Stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere with the top-rated SimpliSafe app. Love it. What do you have to say about this product?
Why do you love
used
it so
for
much?
Years?
Well, I have a SimpliSafe.
Uh-huh.
I set it up, and you get this box. It has the base station, it has the keypad, it has some sensors. You can add your own more sensors however much you need. If you're a Hadid or something, and they probably need more sensors. And but for everybody else, good number in the box. And then you set it up, and it just works perfectly. It's really easy to do. It takes like a few minutes. Everything's seamless. You follow the instructions, and you have the app on your phone. The app works great. You can turn it on or off remotely. It's a really good alarm system. Super easy to use and super reliable. Highly recommend.
Don't miss your chance for massive savings on our favorite security system. Get 50% off any new system at simplysafe.com/crooked today. This is their biggest discount of the year. That's simplysafe.com/crooked. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm John Favreau.
I'm John Lovett.
Tommy Vitor.
On today's show, Democrats keep the Senate, hold off a red wave in the House, and look forward to a productive lame duck session. The knives are out for Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, while Donald Trump gets ready to announce his third presidential campaign. Then the people behind John Fetterman's campaign join us to talk about how they did it, and later, a new game that tests our knowledge about just how crowded the Trump train is right now. But first, we are now offering Crooked Coffee holiday boxes to make gift giving easy. How about that? Each box is filled with full-size bags of delicious medium and dark roast coffee, plus a fun activity that isn't scrolling through Twitter.
And if you buy them all, and they are great, we'll stop doing this.
I'm a dark roast person. Have you guys decided?
I'm a medium roast person.
You're medium roast?
Yeah.
Love
Tommy's
it.
like a
You got roast?
sophisticated palate.
Is it? It's just.
I want everything to taste like Diet Coke.
Yeah, I do. I really like Diet Cokes.
Every order from Crooked Coffee will support Vote Save America's Every Last Vote Fund that helps grassroots organizations get out the vote, which we still need to do in Georgia on December 6th. You can pick from 3 different boxes for 3 types of people. The extremely online box with witty magnetic poetry for your fridge, the craft lovers box with a learn to crochet kit inside, and the home baker box with the insta-famous apple cider donut kit from Farmsteady that's so popular it's almost always out of stock. I can't believe I have to read this.
So
It's
glad
good.
you have to read this shit.
Everybody
around
buy
me.
the boxes. Just buy the boxes.
You know the insta-famous apple cider kit.
We're diversifying our revenue streams. Buy the boxes.
Our staff hates us. There's a limited quantity, so head to crooked.com/coffee to shop before we sell out. Also, Crooked and Duolingo just released a brand new limited series podcast together hosted by audio journalist Ahmed Ali Akbar. Radio Lingo investigates all of the ways that language shapes our world and how the world shapes our language. Each episode explores a different way language plays a role in our life, from swearing to subtitles and everything in between. Listen today and subscribe to Radio Lingo wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday. All right, let's get to the news. Democrats have retained control of the Senate after Arizona was called for Mark Kelly on Friday and Nevada was called for Catherine Cortez Masto on Saturday. Kelly's leading Blake Masters 51 to 46%, not particularly close, and Cortez Masto has squeaked ahead of Adam Laxalt 49 to 48%, just about 7,000 votes. Both states are still counting ballots, but almost finished. Democrats now have 50 Senate seats with a chance to win 51 if Senator Raphael Warnock defeats Herschel Walker in Georgia's December 6th runoff. Guys, how big of a deal is this? How much of a surprise is it? And do you have any more thoughts on how it happened now that we've all had a few more days to dig through data and just swim through takes?
Can you imagine if Blake Masters was one of the 100 people we send to Washington to be in the U.S. Senate?
One of the many pieces of color from all of the great reporting over the last couple of days about the midterms was how the focus group for one of the first focus groups for Blake Masters done by the Republicans was one of the worst focus groups they've ever seen in their entire lives.
And he was getting the sort of crudité treatment where people were recirculating old videos that he himself had shot, edited, and released that just showed how weird he was. One of them was him in a random field shooting a German pistol with a silencer on it. It looked like the ending scene in Seven. It was very off-putting.
When you call the Unabomber an underappreciated thinker and say that you want to privatize Social Security,
not the best.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough.
Sending emails to his vegetable co-op telling them why democracy isn't so hot. The guy's been a kook his whole fucking life. Just spindly and fascist.
And also Adam Laxalt, by the way, because we've spent a lot of time on Blake Masters and Oz and Herschel Walker, and Adam Laxalt has just kind of gone under the radar. But he's a terrible candidate.
Yeah.
Also, embrace the big lie, election denier.
He wasn't as splashy.
He wasn't as
splashy in his embrace of election denialism. But
Dan was
it was
right.
there nonetheless.
He was the Conor Roy of Nevada.
No, but John Ralston, who's the dean of the Nevada Press Corps, talked about how Laxalt was a terrible candidate as well. Just nobody saw him because they did let him out of his little candidate cage in the media.
And Ralston took some shit for being too Pollyanna-ish about Democrats by saying that he believed Masto would hold on and that Democrats would win 2 out of the 3 seats in contention. And actually won all 3 seats.
All 3 seats.
Yeah, he got it right.
He was right about the governor's race, too. Steve Sisolak, the Democratic governor of Nevada, is the only Democratic incumbent governor in the country that lost.
I was, I think, by constitution, when I see everybody in a state of despair, it's my instinct to be like, all right, everybody chill out. Here's some things that we should be considering and not losing our heads. And I have the same thing when I see Democrats rejoicing and I see all this celebration thing. Hold on a second. All right. We have, we lose the House, which means we lose the ability to legislate in the same way. The Senate map in 2024 is pretty tough. Let's all not act as though all of our problems are solved. We have a lot of hard things ahead. But what I was thinking over the weekend was, imagine the 3 of us doing this pod right now with election deniers in charge of key election infrastructure in Wisconsin, in Arizona, in Nevada, and Pennsylvania, and us trying to come up with some godforsaken reason people should still try.
Yeah, America, spare a thought for us.
No,
for
but
the 3 of us.
But the fact that I don't mean it because of us. I mean,
first, I'll take down this straw man over here.
No, shut up.
Then
you shut the fuck up.
Who shall think of the
podcasters?
Shut
the fuck up. I wasn't saying thinking of us. I was thinking of all how bad a situation it would be in to try to make an argument for why we're going to still have this fight left in us. And actually, we stopped all these fucking people.
Yeah, it would have been harder.
Here's the truth. In 18, expectations got out of control. The blue wave was supposed to win us the Senate. Didn't happen. In 20, Joe Biden was ahead by 10 points in Wisconsin. It was close. This one, it was the red wave. It was close. Thing is, we were a few thousand votes in a couple states away from that.
Of course.
That's why
it
politics
was once
is hard.
again super close. We are once again we are on a knife's edge at this country.
Thank you, Harry Reid. I know you can't hear me because you're dead. That was the joke that I was making on Twitter that people didn't necessarily get.
Oh, now he's shadowboxing some Menchies.
I am.
Unbelievable.
There's nothing more annoying on social media than when you make a joke and people don't get it and then they make fun of you and you're anyway. But Harry Reid built a political machine in Nevada that is so powerful that it exists years after his death. It's really impressive.
Yeah. So if Warnock and Lisa Murkowski win, because they have ranked choice voting in Alaska, so we're still waiting on the outcome there, it'll be the first time in over 100 years that no incumbent senator running for re-election lost. Isn't that nuts?
It is. And it does go to the larger, there's Joe Biden's doing some kind of a victory lap, I think, around the dip room.
He's in Bali.
Oh, yeah, he's
wearing silly shirts and
yeah, he's
having
wearing
a good time.
silly shirts. He's looking around. He's talking to she. But you look at the kind of the number of people that were dissatisfied with Joe Biden's job performance, but still voting for the Democrats. And a lot of people went into that booth or looked at that piece of paper and were like, I'm in a really pissed off mood, but I cannot support these people. I just can't do it. I cannot bring myself to do it.
When I think back to the wilderness focus groups, it's like they would complain for an hour about Joe Biden, Democrats, inflation, crime, all the stuff that the media was talking about that everyone's mad at the media for having talked about. And then at the end, it'd be like, so but would you vote for Herschel Walker? And they're like, oh no, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And Sarah Longwell was just saying that in the New York
Same thing
Times.
about Blake
Same thing
Masters.
about Blake Masters. And at the end of the day, the candidates that the Republicans ran, I mean, people are talking a lot about how it was democracy. It was democracy, but it was, in the sense that they would embrace the big lie, that made them too extreme, that they would want to criminalize all abortions, that made them extreme. Sometimes it was just Blake Masters saying things like the Unabomber is an underappreciated thinker, that makes them extreme. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a whole bunch of things that made them just completely unfit for public office.
And I do think there was a kind of vicious circle in the rhetoric that they were using in their own information bubble around not just abortion, but around trans issues, around gay issues, that just didn't comport with people's reality, trying to scare people about what was happening in schools. It just didn't reflect the experiences people were having, and that also weren't on anywhere near the list of the top issues on people's minds. That I think is like whether someone's going to vote for or against someone based on some of these issues, we don't know. But I do think there are some ways in which someone will say something completely unhinged, and it's a signal to you that like, oh, this person's out to lunch.
I think if you look at what Democratic candidates who won tough competitive races did, they basically did four things. They went on offense on abortion and Republican extremism. They drew contrasts with their opponents on economic populism. They said they didn't have a plan for inflation, or their plan for inflation is to cut taxes for rich people and gut health care. And we've been fighting for the middle class over the last year. This is what we've accomplished. They dealt with crime attacks by reiterating their support for law enforcement and gun control. And then they talked about their bipartisan credentials while pointing out that their Republican candidate was extreme. Like, and almost every single Democrat that won did all of those things in their ads and their speeches and how they made news. What kind of impact will a Democratic Senate have?
I mean, if we can get 51 votes in the Senate, then we will have the majority on committees, which means you can vote nominees out of committee and not have to take everything to the floor, which will speed up the whole process of moving legislation. You could imagine scenarios where, I don't know, we'll see what happens in the House. It's pretty close. You could see a scenario where you have a weak speaker. There are votes that are bipartisan. You have Republican House members who want to work with Democrats on discrete issues.
The fact that Democrats control what happens on the Senate floor will be a very big deal if we're trying to figure out how to get a budget or some kind of must-pass thing out of both chambers.
It means there will not be impeachment trials. The House can do whatever they want, that the Senate will not hold the trial.
Don't they have to hold a trial?
I think they
it won't make it easy, but they have to hold a trial.
Can't they?
They can do it in a kind of they have to hold a trial, but it doesn't have to look like the trial.
Right,
the trial that Schumer would hold would look very different than what McConnell.
Okay, yeah. That's right. All right, yeah, but to Tommy's point, there are 87 judicial vacancies right now in the country. There are 58 Biden nominees awaiting a hearing or a vote. So the judicial outcome is that's the biggest impact, especially if we end up not winning the House here. Then there's a question of like, if there's a Supreme Court opening, we could fill it. There's also been some question, Sonia Sotomayor is 68 years old. She would be 74 in 2028 if we lose either the presidency or the Senate in 2024. So possible retirement there. Sam Alito, 72. Clarence Thomas, 74. So Supreme Court thing could be in play over
Clarence
the next couple
Thomas
years.
has been in our lives for 1,000 years.
I know, 74, and he's still only 74.
Only
It feels like he's 1,000.
I will
How's that
say,
possible?
like Ginny Thomas doesn't do anything halfway. She was in that cult. Now she's like gone full Q. She's always like one charismatic scuba instructor out of 4 seasons away from putting Clarence Thomas's life at great personal risk. Like, she can be convinced to do skydiving, spelunking, bungee jumping. Like, she is a persuadable voter on a number of key issues. So that's something to keep in mind.
Play this out. Are you saying that they just like extreme sports, or she's going to leave him for the scuba?
No. I'm saying that like if a well placed person at a White Lotus like resort for conservatives suggests that that thing where they people jump like flying squirrels.
Yeah, squirrel suits.
I think that she could be persuaded to do that and maybe bring Clarence along. All I'm saying is Clarence may not be there.
Oh, yeah.
And if things go a certain way. Another point I'd like to make about why 2 points about why 51 is better than 50. Again, there's going to be a very tough Senate map in 2024. And also, they're all 1,000 years old. And we never get to this 2-year term in the House and Senate is like the Oregon Trail. You don't end up with everybody at the end.
A lot of dysentery.
Yeah, people fall by the fucking wayside. These people are 1,000 years old. Patrick Leahy falls down the stairs twice a week.
Oh my God.
Well, he's not going to stick around anyway.
I want to go back to your point about the
Just saying,
2020
they're-
format.
they're old.
The 2020 format is important.
God makes openings.
There is now almost zero chance the Republicans can get a filibuster-proof majority in 2024.
Yeah.
Which you might be thinking, oh no, there was a chance.
It was.
Yes,
Some
there
tough
was.
states.
We
There was.
lost a couple of these. It was
The map
pretty close.
is brutal in
Brutal.
2024. So we will be defending Democratic incumbents in 3 Trump states: West Virginia, Montana, and Ohio, and then defending incumbents in purple Biden states: Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada. Our best pickup opportunities, our best possible flips in 2024 are Florida and Texas. You might be saying those aren't very promising. Well, those are the only possibilities.
Yeah, that's why we're going to be all encouraging everybody to go knock on doors for Kirsten Cinema.
Listen,
We'll get you there.
51
Maybe
votes.
Ruben Gallego, maybe he'll be here in the primary.
primary. Maybe we should get her to be some cabinet position.
Yeah.
51 takes the balance of power out of the capricious, coal dust covered hands of Joe Manchin and
Or Kristen Sinema.
puts it in Kirsten Sinema's
right?
hands.
Yeah,
Which,
right.
listen, I think I'd rather slightly more liberal hands.
They both. Well, the thing is, it's like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because the two of them have stuck together because neither one of them wanted to be the one to sink
Right.
any kind of votes. But also, I still think that they can make 51 look a lot like 50, or they can decide they can split off on things.
Also, if Joe Manchin is facing an incredibly tough reelection in 2024 in West Virginia, if he decides he's going to go be an independent
Yeah.
or switch or something, then 51 helps with that. And also, I saw someone point out Kamala Harris doesn't have to be in D.C. anymore to cast tie-breaking votes, so she can spend more time in other places.
That's good.
Campaigning
Get
in
on the
Brentwood.
road.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Also, everyone's like, oh, all the things that will happen in the Senate if we have 51. How about just we have Raphael Warnock instead of Herschel Walker? We have a brilliant, inspiring preacher instead of a fucking stone cold moron who put a gun to his ex-wife's head. That's a bonus right there.
Yeah, it just seems wrong for him to win.
How do you think the fact that control of the Senate has already been decided should impact Warnock's strategy in this runoff that's happening on December 6th?
I doubt it does. I mean, don't you assume that Warnock's people have been running this race the whole time, assuming they had another month, and that they're just going to kind of execute on that? I mean, look, if I were them, I'd take some cash. I would maybe buy a Mar-a-Lago membership and see if I could talk Trump into coming down to Georgia for a few stops. Maybe that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I do think, given that the stakes are not control of the Senate, it makes it more about character qualifications record. It makes it more about which man do you want to represent you, and it makes it a much, much harder road for the Republicans.
And I think that's the strategy
For
that
sure.
Warnock follows, because his first ad for the runoff was all about character, and it said this whole thing is about character. Who do you want? And I think it's easier to do that when Senate stakes aren't.
It's just harder for the Republicans to motivate people, I think. I mean, I think you could get a lot of these voters out again to say, own the libs, keep them out of power, vote Herschel Walker. No one's turning out
you got
for
to get
Herschel Walker.
in your car and drive
Again.
to vote just for this. Make a plan of it.
I did see that Kemp is now going to campaign with Walker, and he didn't before, probably because he was worried about his own election. And the Senate Leadership Fund, they're going to lend their dad in some money. So they're all
They're
getting
gonna
behind. They're all
try.
going to try, but
Are
we'll
their
see.
hearts going to be in
Which
it?
is why we all need to sort of get involved and send money down there and help in whatever way we can, because we don't want Herschel Walker in the Senate, and
No,
Raphael Warnock
do
is
that.
one of the best senators we have. So one more fun thing before we move on to the House. The Republican infighting over losing the Senate has begun. Mitch McConnell's flunkies are blaming Rick Scott's flunkies. Rick Scott's flunkies are blaming Mitch McConnell's flunkies. And at least 5 Republican senators, including Scott, have called for a delay in leadership elections. What do you guys think? Is Mitch in trouble?
Here's what I want to
And
say.
who are we rooting for?
Here's what I'm saying.
Who are we
It's
rooting
aliens
for?
versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose. The I see the points that Rick Scott is making. They're great points. I see what McConnell is saying about the Trump people. They're making great points. Honestly, some of the points Trump's making, not so bad. The thing is, they're all responsible, and they're all trying to make this about the decisions they made in the last year, because that's a place where they can find dissensus and maybe places where they can find some purchase to make an argument for why it's not their fault, it's someone else's fault. This is the culmination of years of years of getting exactly what they fucking wanted. They wanted to overturn Dobbs. They got fucking killed for it. They wanted all the enthusiasm and excitement that came from the Trump base, and then they got fucking punished for it. All of these people got exactly what they wanted, which is exactly what they deserved. And and have at it. Blame each other, tear each other down. You're all full of shit. That's how I feel about that.
I'm obviously rooting for Rick Scott here.
I am too.
Well, of course, he's because he's an idiot.
Who?
He's a Medicare thief.
Telegenic, brilliant policy mind, just expert recruiting. That guy is
We know
the
what
best.
Mitch McConnell is capable of. He's an obstructionist, and he can raise a lot of lobbyist money. I would love to see Rick Scott take the reins here. He's one of the most personally unappealing, politically tone deaf, personally damaged, corrupt goons in that entire city.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Sure. Look, let's not. It's not like Mitch McConnell is like George Clooney, all right? Like he's not exactly personable or like a great.
Another straw man gunned down on the. I said I know what he's good at.
Do you want to? Is there any more?
He's a good
Are there
obstructionist
any
and he
more,
raises
are there
money.
any more
That's all he's
Twitter
good at.
mentions you want to argue with?
Yes. I don't want anyone to tell me whatever happened to when they go low, we go high.
Hey, this is
I never
Republican
said that.
infighting.
I
We're
never
not our.
said
That was
that.
Pod Save
All
American
I'm saying
fighting.
is, I think minority leaders often look like geniuses. It's easier to obstruct when you're in the minority in the Senate. He has benefited from a lot of decisions a lot of other people have made. I'm not saying Mitch McConnell isn't a smarter and better politician than Rick Scott, but I'm like a little bit done with the like Mitch McConnell strategic genius
The
thing.
Washington Post has like an extremely long story that is very good about everything that happened in the last year with Republicans or 2 years, whatever it was. And there was just one great moment where they're like, at one point, McConnell's people blamed Scott and his people for the plan to cut Medicare and Social Security and every other government program after 5 years and also raise taxes on working people. But then Scott blamed McConnell for letting Lindsey Graham do the 15-week abortion ban. And so I'm like, which goes to your
Yeah,
point,
good
which is
point.
like, there's just plenty
It's a good point.
of dumb ideas to go around.
I
on
will.
that.
There are. I will. Yes. I will pause and say the Rick Scott sunset Medicare, Medicaid, raise taxes on half of taxpayers plan is
Excellent.
one of the greatest unforced errors in my entire life of paying attention to
There was
politics.
absolutely no need
He
for it.
drove 300 miles to step on a rake. It like was completely unnecessary.
And if you
Yeah.
look at the amount the Democrats spent on ads, abortion, obviously number one, as we've talked about before. But right after that, ads about Medicare, ads about Social Security, it wasn't in the headlines, it wasn't
No.
being covered by the media, but it was Democrats were hitting that message pretty
Those were
hard.
all the big, like the clips of Obama on the road that were
Yeah.
going around. It was all those sorts of hits.
Absolutely. And also like Mitch McConnell is in this mess because he and his flunkies realize that Trump is the problem, but they are all too weak to take
They're
him
cowards.
It's not
complete
yeah,
cowards.
it's not just that they're
Weakness.
it's they like where is the enthusiasm for other like you can maybe point to Ron DeSantis. They didn't just concede the kind of party to Trump. Like they have been relying on the enthusiasm and excitement and like engagement that Trump generates. They have really outsourced the kind of grassroots part of politics to Trump as a person, and they're kind of shit out of luck.
And you know what he does? That deal with the devil gets you emails from Trump that are ostensibly about raising money for the Walker campaign, where it actually splits the thing 9-1
Yeah.
favor of money to Trump versus money for the candidates. The McConnell people, I have no sympathy for them because they could have voted to impeach Donald Trump and taken this off the table to some extent. They were worried that he would leave the party and do his own third party sort of new MAGA party thing, and they were afraid of him. And that cowardice and that weakness is what got us here.
Yeah, I'd also, look, you can try to burn down the Capitol, you can insult and degrade every institution and aspect of our political life.
Don't you lose
But
us.
don't
the
lose us a
midterms.
midterm. Don't now, look. I mean, now you're costing us seats. That's a sin we can't abide.
Now, as much as I would love Rick Scott to take over for Mitch McConnell, I did look at the Senate Republican caucus page and looked at all those pictures. I could only count about 10 true yahoos that might back Scott over McConnell. Like, there's too many sort of establishment cucks there who are just McConnell. McConnell people.
There's a delay caucus, which is like Cruz, Rubio, Hawley, Rick Scott. Wait, well, the argument is let Herschel Walker this is what they want, get elected, then we should have a vote. I think that's also supported by right-wing organizations like the Heritage Foundation and Club for Growth. But you're right,
that gets you like 11. Yeah, it's still hard to get
right-wing.
It's still hard to get the number you need to oust McConnell. Well, let's talk about the House. So Democrats' path to keeping a 218-seat majority is incredibly narrow right now. Dave Wasserman of the Cook Political Report says that Republicans have won or will probably win in 220 districts. For Democrats, it's 213, and 2 seats are still toss-ups. Either way, this will be the smallest number of House seats lost by the party in power in 20 years, even though the overall House vote is so far 8 points more Republican than it was in 2020. That number could come down a bit as California gets counted, but probably not a ton. Any more thoughts on why that is or how we got here in the House?
Not especially.
You couldn't put it better than that. I mean, to give it a whirl.
Thanks, Tommy.
I think some bad candidates cost them. A notable one, John Gibbs in Michigan, completely wackadoodle out there candidate. Clearly, the concerns about Republican extremism outweighed anger at Biden or the economy. I think we were greatly damaged in our efforts to keep the House by the Republican gerrymander in Florida. I think the Republicans got 4 seats out of Florida.
Yeah.
Didn't help that we nominated a completely warmed over, uninspiring gubernatorial nominee against Ron DeSantis, and he just mopped up. You contrast that with Ohio, right, where Tim Ryan lost to J.D. Vance but helped flip House seats. We talked about New York last week and how we didn't do well there.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can put together a Democratic majority by just undoing the gerrymander in Florida, a couple other southern states, a better map in New York, a better map in Wisconsin. Just the fact that Salt Lake City is divided instead of being a district. There are places all across the country you can look and find the gerrymander to lose.
Cook Political says Democrats won 100% of solid D seats, likely D seats, and lean D seats, 100% of all of those. 69% of toss-ups, nice, and 1 lean R. That was the other very extreme candidate, Joe Kent in Washington.
That guy's bonkers.
And that
Really
was
went
another
under the
Trump
radar,
thing
guy.
because Jamie Herrera Butler was a Republican who voted to impeach Trump. The party ousted her because you can't be impeaching Trump in that party anymore. Joe Kent won the nomination. They thought it was still going to be safe. They lost.
Yeah, there are a few places. I mean, one reason you will see Democrats winning all the places that lean Democrat is because if they are places that lean Democrat, they were not gerrymandered. And these Republican gerrymanders are so strong that it makes it possible if you just, like, basically they got a little greedy here and there. And there's a couple seats we're picking off because they got a little greedy in their gerrymanders.
Yeah, and then the other reason you had that gap between the swing for the House vote and how many seats Republicans picked up is there was real low turnout in safe Democratic seats. And then there were more contested Republican races.
That makes sense.
So the Wall Street Journal reported that right-wing Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona will challenge Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. There's a vote today where McCarthy only needs a majority of House Republicans, which he'll get. But Biggs wants to show that McCarthy does not yet have the 218 votes he'll need when the House convenes in January. What do you guys think? Is McCarthy in trouble?
This is a hard one.
I don't know. It's hard to see how this thing shakes out. There was reporting that McCarthy called Henry Cuellar to see if he can get him to flip.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't work. I've been saying, not our Henry. It's you got Matt Gaetz running around proposing every fucking numbskull.
Can we listen? I think we have the Matt Gaetz clip, which we have to play.
I've heard the name Tulsi Gabbard, someone who might actually bring us a few folks from the left who are tired of the corrupt ruling class in this town. Right now, there are a lot of the establishment Republicans in denial, believing that Kevin McCarthy can somehow still become Speaker. What I'm here to tell you is there are definitely at least 5 people, actually a lot more than that, who would rather be waterboarded by Liz Cheney than vote for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House. And I'm one of them.
So one thing I just want to point out is that, like, who waterboards you doesn't matter.
It's more the process.
It's the experience. So it's a weird thing because he makes comments like this in the past, and it always ends up having a kind of vaguely sadomasochistic sexual element. That's all I wanted to point out.
Do you think a Cheney could have some expertise that others don't possess?
Does that make it
it's like
worse?
What,
They are like or better or worse?
The founding fathers of.
Also, by the way, good for Liz Cheney. You know what? Good for Liz Cheney. She stuck her neck out. She campaigned with Alyssa Slotkin.
Yeah.
You know what? Good for her.
On this Tulsi Gabbard thing, I think I saw that Adam Laxalt was the 8th loss out of the 12 Republicans endorsed by Tulsi Gabbard in her little tour where she pretended that she was suddenly leaving the Democratic Party for reasons other than her being just a completely weird person.
Yeah.
I think if Carrie Lake loses, Tulsi will lose her 9th endorsement. So let's not pretend that anyone cares what she thinks or says.
No, I don't think so. So, like, if House Republicans end up with 219 or 220 seats, they can only spare 1 or 2 defections, Kevin McCarthy. So that's on the, like, he could be in trouble side. On the other side, like, you can't beat something with nothing. Any kind of challenger would also need 218 and only could spare a defection or 2. Apparently, Donald Trump is telling people to back McCarthy. One Trump advisor said to CNN, the strategy is to protect McCarthy from blame because Trump needs him for his presidential run. So Trump's trying to use McCarthy here. And then apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene went on Tommy's favorite podcast, Bannon's War Room, and she said it would be a bad strategy to challenge Kevin McCarthy.
I mean, Kevin has to get 218 votes. The question becomes what concessions you make along the way to get there. Some of the House Freedom Caucus members were pushing for a rule change that would make it possible for any member at any time to call a vote to depose the speaker.
Endorse.
The chair.
Endorse.
In practice, it just means, Kevin's going to spend the next couple months sucking up to dudes with names like Chip Roy. You know what I mean? But like, he might get there.
There's no
Random various QAnon supporters.
Yeah, there's no alternative. But there are what will these right-wing chaos agents be willing to take in terms of heat from the kind of serious adjacent people that are telling them to just go along with Kevin McCarthy? Like, how long can this go? How much can they drag out? How long can we go without a speaker before they kind of relent? I don't know. Also, I think this is a little bit wishful. I can also see this coming together pretty quick.
Yeah.
But in the part that wishes, the same candle I lit before the election, let it drag out, let it go on.
But I do think if it does come together for McCarthy, he's still going to have a really tough time.
It's a hard
back
job.
to the impeachment conversation. I don't know that there will be an impeachment with that size of caucus because you need
people,
everyone
that's
on board.
it.
You have a couple people on board, and again, these people there's a very real shot that Democrats retake the House in 2024. We lost 5 seats in New York that Joe Biden won by 4 points or more in 2020. So there's a real chance Democrats retake the House in 2024. So there's a bunch of Republicans sitting in districts that are pretty competitive. Do you really think going forward with the impeachment of Joe Biden is the best move here? I don't know.
Right. They don't want to. And if let's say they'd gotten their 30 or 40 seats, nobody wants to be part of the 10 to 20 that defect for something that passes.
Yeah.
But to be the 10 to 20 that just stomp something from happening.
Yeah.
Feels much more palatable.
Yeah, the hard thing is that the hard right base of the party, the kind of TPUSA kind of goobers, they're very mad at McCarthy to begin with, and they are going to be demanding blood. They want to own the libs. That's all they care about, right? They want Hunter Biden investigations, which could still happen in a Republican House, and they want impeachment. They absolutely will happen.
Fauci in jail.
They want, right. Yeah. So that, how Kevin...
Head back to the Wuhan lab.
Yeah, how Kevin balances him wanting the title of speaker with the demands of the genuinely crazy people like Paul Gosar within his caucus is going to be, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, look, the same dynamic, this is why it's like this, there was a weekend of Trump's toast. Okay. The same dynamic is at play, which is a lot of Republicans, whether they said it out loud or not, believed that election denial was a losing issue. A lot of them believed that abortion was a losing issue. A lot of them believed these kooks were going to cost them races and seats. They thought maybe the wave would be big enough to overcome it. But now we've been given this proof point. Okay, we've now seen it. These are losing issues. They still have to do the hard work of that base to leader and back and forth conversation where a big group of people that are supposed to be the adults start signaling down that we're not doing this anymore. But they're all afraid to do that still. Kevin McCarthy cannot do that now. So for all the talk about how they've learned their lesson, that is only true if over the next 6 months to a year, they start the hard work of basically trying to civilize the base that they've let go rabid over the last 30 years. And I don't believe it's going to happen.
And I think you need a party leader to do that. I think Donald Trump could do that. He could tell the base to chill out if he wanted to. Ron DeSantis did do it to a small extent in Florida,
I
right?
was just going to say that.
When they were screaming for him to pass a 6-week abortion ban, he said no and stuck at 15 weeks, which was one of those moments where you're like, this guy actually has some political instincts that are smart that Trump does not.
Yeah, before we get too excited that they're not going to be able to pull this together, like Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, some of these red states did not, like, they were able to deal with the headwinds from abortion bans, extremism, threats to democracy, which weren't popular in their states, and these governors won anyway. So, but if Donald Trump's leading the party, that's going to be tough.
Yep.
So we still have a few months before the new Congress is seated, and there's a long list of things to get done in what's known as a lame duck session of Congress. Nancy Pelosi said she wants to lift the debt ceiling. The Senate announced they'll be voting to codify same-sex marriage protections. There's also the Electoral Count Reform Act, government funding debates. What do you guys think is most realistic and important here in this list? Because really, there's not a lot of time.
The single most important thing that they can do is ideally eliminate the debt ceiling. There's nothing more important that they can do in this period of time. Ideally, they could scrap it forever. I don't know if that's possible. It seems like maybe too hard a road to hoe. But look at what is happening in the House right now. It is a dust cloud of right-wing arms and legs. They don't know. They don't know what they're going to do to stop the country from going into default. You cannot rely on this group of people. Schumer, Pelosi, they both said they want to do something about the debt ceiling. Manchin today kind of echoed what has been a party line, which it should be bipartisan.
Anita Dunn said that over the weekend as well. That's just what you say.
Obviously, whatever concessions or deal you need to make with a few Republicans in the Senate right now is far better than taking the country to the precipice with a Republican House that has already said they will use the debt ceiling to get concessions on social safety net and taxes. They are telling you they're going to hold a gun to the country's head already. Don't wait for them to do it.
Yeah. And because I saw people freaking out over Manchin saying it should be bipartisan, the reason the Democrats for a long time, and I think it's back to the Obama administration, would say, it should be bipartisan, is what they mean is one party shouldn't use it to wring policy concessions out of the other party. So it should be. If Manchin changes to, it must be bipartisan or else I'm not going to do it, then we're all fucked.
Yeah. I don't look, people like Romney and others are looking at this and they don't want to put the country through it either.
This is where the business interests will lobby against it as well. This is where
That's
traditional
true.
Republicans have a little swat. They're also going to have to pass some must-pass spending bills or else we're going to go into a government shutdown in mid-December.
Which, by the way, I'm wondering if they're just going to, they need to do a couple spending bills. You can do the debt ceiling without not having to deal with the filibuster if you do a budget resolution, because that only needs 50 votes. So why don't you do a budget resolution that funds the government and everything else, all those other priorities, and then just tack the debt limit on there and just do it all at once?
The debt ceiling is like if you were trying to cut your credit card spending, and so you took a picture of yourself in full Nazi regalia, and you set an auto send on your email to go to everyone in your contacts if you ever hit your limit.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop you from spending money on the credit card. You just keep raising your credit card limit.
Yeah. And you risk sending that picture.
I think this
Just
happened
delete
in
the photo.
the NXIVM documentary I'm watching.
Yeah. Just don't. Don't do it.
All right. So we need the debt. So the debt ceiling we can do if we get Manchin and Sinema on board.
Yeah,
That's
good idea.
let's
do that.
That's what it
Good
comes down to. I think it sounds like from all the reporting today that same-sex marriage protections will pass.
The Respect for Marriage Act.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Tammy Baldwin was insistent that it wasn't a political message bill. It was actually a bill to protect marriage equality. For me, it was a political message bill, so pass it. I don't give a fuck.
It passed the House with 47 Republican
Great.
votes. So,
I think
good prospects.
the Electoral Count Reform Act is in very good shape as well. And we've talked about that before. I think they have like 30 co-sponsors, including Mitch McConnell. It would clarify the vice president's role. It would basically put the judiciary in charge of state certification, or at least as a backstop for state certification, so that people in state legislatures and governors couldn't just overturn the election with no judicial review, which is very important. And then it would raise the threshold in Congress to objecting to any electoral results.
So let's do that.
I do think it was a bit untoward to include as a concession to some of the more conservative members of the House that we will hang Mike Pence to get it done. It's in there.
Leave him alone. He's on a book tour.
Look, people don't read these bills. They didn't know you couldn't vote on Saturday before the Georgia runoff. They don't know that this Electoral Count Act will kill Mike Pence.
There's some talk
He'll be
of
hung to death.
potentially.
That's what it says. Until he is dead.
There's some talk of trying to get the child tax credit done. I don't know what the prospects of that are. Some version of the permitting reform bill that was promised to Manchin as associated with the IRA. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Look, these people barely work 3 days a week here, and we
Yeah.
got 2 months.
Yeah, they are-
we got debt ceiling, we got same-sex marriage, we've got Electoral Count Reform Act, and then all this other funding for Ukraine, for the government, for everything else. That sounds like a pretty full agenda.
Yeah, I mean these people run out of steam at 4:30.
I mean, so do I.
So do I. Look, I respect
Hold on.
them. They're early risers too. They got to
All right.
pee 3 times a night. They're
La-
old, is what I'm saying.
Last but not least, Donald Trump is expected to announce his third presidential campaign from Mar-a-Lago at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And a growing number of Republican politicians are not all that jazzed about it. Now that the twice impeached, 2-time popular vote loser is responsible for the party's poor performance in the last 3 elections in a row. A new YouGov poll also shows that more Republicans now want Ron DeSantis to be the party's nominee over Trump by a slim 41 to 39%.
I just saw another poll come through. It's from the Club for Growth that did state by state in the early states. And it's got DeSantis beating Trump by 11 points in Iowa, 15 points in New Hampshire, 20 points in Georgia, 26 points in Florida. No surprise there. I guess not all early states. I'm not sure what their calendar is, but those Iowa, New Hampshire numbers, look, it could be juiced. I have no idea if a Club for Growth is a good pollster, but it's not going to make Mr. Trump very happy.
No.
Club for Growth freaks.
Love it.
Just, I'm going to stop myself.
Now I want to hear what you're
I
going to
just-
do.
Something about masturbating to the Dow and then making up the numbers.
Yeah. Hey, you
Yeah,
know,
that's where I was.
Workshop it a little bit. Come back to the next pod.
I didn't have it.
Are you guys pretty psyched for another Trump campaign? I can't believe it. It is funny. This is the last thing we talked about today in a very long list. Donald Trump is fucking running for president again. It's happening, guys. Do you think he is as weak as he seems right now? Love it. You seem to think no
No.
from our earlier conversation.
Absolutely.
Look, maybe he is, maybe he is. I'm not going to make any predictions. All I would say is
Why our predictions are perfect.
that, there was a week after the insurrection where it seemed as though his political fortunes had turned. I would say burning down the Capitol should be a bigger deal breaker than not getting as big of a majority in the House. But we will see.
But to voters, who knows?
They
look,
want to win.
If this was a conversation just about like, will the Republican politicians break from him finally or back him in the end? They'd be like, yeah, of course they're going to rally around him in the end. That's what they always do. But the voters, the base is a different story. Laura Ingraham on her show the other night was like, we can't be doing this anymore.
I
Like,
know,
he's starting to lose.
I know,
starting to lose
I-
Fox.
I just think, I really do think it's an open question. We forget how much institutional opposition he faced before he started winning primaries in 2016. He never had a supportive majority of the party. He won because they were divided amongst the other people that decided to run. So who knows?
We'll see. Little Ron DeSanctimonious. Let's see if it works.
I think the challenge for all these guys, I agree that I think that much like Democrats in 2020, Republican voters this time around will care most about electability and not losing again.
Yeah.
And so that would be the Achilles heel. I think the challenge for DeSantis and anybody else is that Trump politically is Mike Tyson and he punches everyone as hard as he can all the time. And these guys come out and they shadow box him and they slap box him and they go for these sort of oblique criticisms in, the Washington Times on background. It's just like, it's not going to work. Trump has been able to consolidate the right wing, the MAGA base, the
Yeah.
Fox News primetime hosts time and time and time again. Until we see like Tucker Carlson break or Sean Hannity break, then I will start to wonder.
But
But not the elitist London-based owner of the New York Post that Semaphore is all fired up about. That to me is not where the base is.
So far, just about every Republican candidate who has lost a race in this midterm has conceded, or at least has not claimed victory. I think that is wonderful for democracy, first of all. But second of all, it hurts Trump and it hurts Trump's cause, because one of the reasons he embraced the big lie in the first place is because he knew the worst thing that could happen to him was for him to be viewed as a loser. And now Republican voters are once again thinking, we've now lost again. We've lost a bunch. From 2012 to 2020, except for 2016, and not a great midterm in 2014, Democrats have won every election. And so I think at some point, the voters might say,
I wonder, because if
I'm just making the argument. I
no,
don't know.
I don't know. None of us knows, obviously. But I look at this too, and they're like, I want to win. I'm a Republican. I want to win, and I got my two options here. I got Donald Trump, who won in 2016, and I kind of think probably won in 2020. And then I've got Ron DeSantis, who I like a lot, but who I know, if he defeats Donald Trump in a primary, will be torn to absolute fucking smithereens by this guy and will come out like a wounded animal.
Oh, by Trump. Oh.
Like I just Trump. It is inconceivable to me, like that Donald Trump goes quietly into the night
You know, that's not gonna happen.
because even if like whatever, like if a Republican defeats a Democrat in 2024, Donald Trump will view that as a personal rebuke to him. It cannot be allowed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll burn the whole thing
Go
down.
for it.
Run as a third-party candidate.
He will never do that because he's too lazy and he won't actually get on the ballot. He'll just be like a chaos agent
Yeah.
on Truth Social.
Yeah, which, isn't
Not
going
the
that
worst
far.
thing either.
All right, when we come back, Rebecca Katz and Kip Hebert from the Fetterman campaign join Tommy to talk about how they pulled off a big win against Dr. Oz. Pod Save America is brought to you by Lomi. Talk about how much garbage you take out food waste. A lot of garbage in my house. Got to take it out.
We've been taking out a lot of trash this week, guys.
That's
the
right.
elections and food waste.
You bet. Nice.
We've been putting it all in our Lomies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz, you're going in there. Metaphorically.
Lomi allows you to turn your food scraps into dirt with the push of a button. Lomi's a countertop electric composter that turns scraps to dirt in under 4 hours. There's no smell when it runs, and it's really quiet. Here's the deal. You get your Lomi, you get your trash, you put it in the Lomi, you get some dirt. It's great. Why
It's
wouldn't you
amazing,
want that?
actually.
You put the dirt in your backyard, you're growing plants, maybe you're growing some more food, you're eating that food, and then you put it back in the Lomi to
Right.
grow more food. It's
Yeah.
just it's a sustainable system.
It's a cycle.
It's a
Hakuna
cycle.
Matata.
It's the circle of life. It's the circle of
Lomi.
What's
Lomi.
the circle of Lomi?
Anyway, if you
Anywho.
want to start making a positive environmental impact or just make cleanup after dinner that much easier, Lomi is perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/crooked and use the promo code crooked to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/crooked and use promo code crooked at checkout. Food waste is gross. Lomi is your solution. With the holidays just around the corner, Lomi will make the perfect gift for someone on your shopping list. Pod Save America is brought to you by Sleep Me. Science tells us that the best way to achieve and maintain consistent deep sleep is by lowering core body temperature. Temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscle after a hard day's work and improves cognitive function, so you always start your day feeling sharp and alert. Sleep Me is the new home for Chili Sleep, which is the name we don't say anymore.
Nope.
We're bringing you the same great sleep that other brand offered, but under a new name.
New name.
It's called
New name.
Sleep Me. They make the coldest and most comfortable sleep systems available. They create the environment that meets the body's natural need for lower core temperatures, promoting deeper restorative sleep. Sleep Me makes the Uller Cube and Dock Pro sleep systems, water-based temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress to provide your ideal sleep temperature. They also just launched the new Dock Pro sleep system. It has 2 times more cold power than other models. It's whisper quiet and has a tubeless mattress pad design that allows for 5 times more cooling contact. Pair it with the new Sleep.me app for enhanced device control and sleep scheduling. Look, I always sleep hot. No matter how cool it is outside, I always sleep hot. And now I have the Uller. And let me tell you, I
Tell
wake
us.
up, I have a deep sleep, and I wake up very comfortable.
Yeah.
It really does help. It's amazing.
Cooler than a family dinner at Mar-a-Lago.
Nice. What?
Mm.
Yep.
Icy.
I see. Tiffany's wedding's in some trouble.
Well, that's tough. That's more of a natural disaster.
That's tough. Head over to sleepme.com/cricket to learn more and save 25% off the purchase of any new Dock Pro, Cube, or Uller sleep system. This offer is available exclusively for Pod Save America listeners and only for a limited time. That's sleep, sleep.me/cricket to take advantage of our exclusive discounts and wake up refreshed every day. Pod Save America is brought to you by Movement Watches.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hey, our
Hey,
friends.
where you been, Movement?
I love these guys. They rethought the watch game.
They sure did,
They're
Tommy.
back.
They sure did. It's always good to walk your own path and beat your own drum.
That's what we've always said.
Yeah,
Love it.
that's
A big fan of that.
No, I'm always beating my own drum.
that's something Movement understands. Since day one, Movement has
Oh,
been
now I get it.
Move-
Shit.
Movement has been doing things different by creating watches with refreshingly clean designs, top-tier materials, and unbeatable prices.
Who's talking about?
He's talking about now you can stand out with Movement's watches, eyewear, and more during their Black Friday seasonal sale with a discount you can't miss.
So give your wrist a workout with a great watch from Movement.
Movement's designs coming. This is why
The
people
happy
listen to
back
this.
movement, huh? Is what you wanted? Is what you get.
Movement's designs come in countless styles.
Is this the Barstool Sports ad right now?
For
No, that's the
every
Pine
occasion.
guys. Yeah.
People
Shop,
will remember this.
shop with confidence by enjoying a 24-month warranty, free shipping, and free returns on orders over $50. Watches were just the beginning. Movement's line of eyewear and jewelry is designed to set you apart for all the right reasons.
Love the sunglasses.
And check out Movement Ever Scroll Eyewear. It helps filter out the most intense blue light rays so you can look your best while doing your best work.
Yeah.
I need to
Helpful
get some of
to-
those.
Maybe that's what the Republicans were using, and that's why they thought they saw a red wave. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Hey.
I like that.
Wow.
Hey.
That's some
Filtered out the blue.
That's some resistance cringe right there.
You bet it is.
Be the good gifter with Movement during their Black Friday seasonal sale. Get a special discount of 25% off site wide with code BF25 just in time for the holidays. Join the movement today at mvmt.com. That's mvmt.com.
I am thrilled to be joined now by two of the brilliant minds that helped propel John Fetterman to victory, Rebecca Katz and Kip Hebert. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So why don't we just start with the basics? Can you guys just quickly tell folks what you did for the campaign? Why don't you start, Rebecca?
Sure. So we've been with John now for about 7 years. So we basically have been working with him on communications and just like general strategy that whole time.
That's excellent. I should note for history that Rebecca and I worked together on the John Edwards for President
A very long time ago.
in 2004 campaign, which I called the good one, the good Edwards campaign. Because
I
we
refer
tried
to
our
it as that as well.
We'll let that go there. Okay. So we're going to get to the big picture stuff in a minute about how you guys won and all the strategy. The first question, it just has to be about Snooki, because in case listeners don't know what I'm talking about, the Fetterman campaign released the funniest video I've seen from a campaign, maybe ever. It starred the Jersey Shore star Snooki. Do we call them stars? I guess we do. Talking about Dr. Oz leaving his home in New Jersey to go find a new job in Pennsylvania. Like, genuinely hilarious. I read that you guys first tried to get a video from The Situation, another Jersey Shore cast member, but that he didn't deliver. What happened there? What happened with Mike?
I mean, where to begin? So first of all, you have to know that New Jersey wasn't just about like shit posting. It was actually the number one thing that was popping off on Oz with regular voters, that, you know, people from Pennsylvania, especially Philly, don't like New Jersey. So we were having some fun with this New Jersey theme. John was doing the memes. And so we had a bunch of ideas about, you know, people from New Jersey and then tactics. So it was just, you know, I remember calling up Kip and we were talking about Jersey Shore and Cameo. And then we tried The Situation. And then Kip, why don't you talk about what happened when we got it back?
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, he turned it around in a couple of days. He took some liberties.
I don't think he
though.
has much else to do, man.
Yeah. So I believe it was like in mid-June, we first had this idea. I wrote up like a script, sort of sent that to The Situation. He sent us back something a couple of days later that was, I guess you could say, off message. Still, but like our white whale was Snooki. That's one we always wanted. And we submitted it, and there's this thing on Cameo where if the celebrity doesn't do it within 77 days, they refund your money, and then you have to submit it again. And we submitted it 4 times.
Oh my God.
And then finally I think we'd given up hope that it would actually ever really happen. And then in mid-July, we were in the middle of like a staff meeting, and I got an email from Cameo that said she had done it, and we just stopped everything and watched it several times in a row.
We were screaming. I mean, it was the most perfect piece of video presentation I've ever seen in my life. It was just, she nailed it.
It was brilliant.
And then it exploded. It really felt like there was like a time on the campaign before Snooki and then after Snooki.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, did you enjoy it more than Crudité?
Yes.
How did that rank?
I mean, because
Okay.
the Crudité was him, the Snooki was us. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Well, I think you guys actually discovered a lot of the Crudité video. That was missed by some folks because he recorded it like back in April or something. But Snooki was just something that we had been having so much fun with New Jersey. Like, do you remember that he recorded a message for Pennsylvania voters from his mansion in New Jersey? Like that.
I know that because you guys told everybody and you
that
landed
was,
that.
Nick Gavio on our team found that out and was, he was looking at the video. He's like, and he sent in the group chat, I think this is New Jersey House. And we all stopped everything that we were doing. We spent the whole day trying to figure out if it really was the same house. And I think, Kip, you were the one that found the bookcase, right?
Yeah, there's no way to talk about this without sounding completely crazy, but I found
I love it.
8 books in a row that were the same color and size in both of the 2 photos. And I was like, okay, this is definitely it. But we were analyzing it like was the Zapruder film or something. So,
oh, God, I love it. But I mean, like, so the Snooki video gets at a broader point about the campaign that John ran, which is that the tone of the messaging. You guys seemed like you were having fun. We're having fun talking about it right now. The attacks on Dr. Oz, they were tough, but they didn't read as harsh or mean, especially when compared to what the monsters who worked for Dr. Oz eventually ended up saying about John's health. How did you settle on that approach in that tone? Is it a strategy that's uniquely suited to running against someone who is let's face it, a clown, or is it something
he wasn't
broader?
Always the clown. I feel like we made him a clown. I mean, when he was running in the primary, they didn't view him as a clown. They were running xenophobic and hateful negative ads, right? John is from Pennsylvania. He gets it, right? So he knew we had real research to back up that people did not like, the fact that Oz just moved here to try and win the Senate race. And John wanted to have fun with it. Remember, these are the early days that he was recovering from his stroke. We were having internal meetings, but he wasn't out on the trail yet. And I remember he just started sending us memes and they were really funny, And so he really started, it wasn't that when they go low, we go high. We didn't go high. We just tried to have some fun, and it worked. And it comes from the candidate, really.
Usually the campaign that's having more fun is the campaign that's winning, right? Yes, John is a unique person and Oz is also very unique, but I do think that there's something that more Democrats should take advantage of, because using humor allows you to deliver a negative message that just doesn't feel negative, right? And especially when you're doing it in a bunch of different ways, we found that, exit polls show that 56% of Pennsylvania voters said that Dr. Oz didn't know Pennsylvania well enough. And this wasn't something that had been a message focus of ours since the summer. So I think it really did sink in. And, in a hack ad, you can respond with okay, well, here are the facts. But a good joke, mockery, is hard to respond to. The only way is by being funnier. And if I might overgeneralize, Republicans are not funny. I think that this is a thing that Democrats need to do more of, because professional Republicans, at least, they've, as you alluded to with the, making fun of John's stroke, they view cruelty and humor as the same thing. And they just instinctively punch down, which is something that just, as human beings is not funny. So I think this is an area where Democrats have an advantage and should use more.
I could not agree more. So again, just stepping back a little, I can't imagine anything more challenging on a campaign than losing your greatest asset, which is your candidate's ability to campaign for several months during the race. That's obviously what happened when John had the stroke. How did you guys even begin to think about how to deal with that, knowing that you're not gonna be able to move election day?
It was hard. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. There was shell shock coming. Really, we drove right from the hospital to the election night party on primary day. And then we won every county in Pennsylvania. It was happening quickly. And then there was, and then we went right into focus groups. Honestly, we were running on 2 tracks. And the research showed exactly what John had been saying all along, that, that people actually care about real human issues, and he was real. And so we decided to share the recovery a little bit. And it wasn't easy for him. When you have something like a stroke, you want to go away for a few months and recover in private. And there was such a drumbeat of when is he coming out there? And it wasn't, that part wasn't fun, but we decided to go out before he was perfect and to show people a little bit about that humanity. And I think a lot of reporters just thought, like, looked at him and just said, like, he can't do this. And a lot of folks actually, like, this resonated with them. It was like a family member.
Yeah. I mean, like the biggest obvious instance of this was the debate. I mean, when we had John on Pod Save America, I didn't do that interview, but when I listened back, you know, there were times where I winced a little bit. You know, I watched the debate online. I found it hard to watch in moments, in part because like I fell for him as a human being, but also because, look, I'm a hack. I worried about how it would play politically. Now I've like made a fool of myself enough with predictions to know not to do that anymore, right? So I shut the fuck up. But a lot of reporters and pundits predicted doom and gloom. What do you think they got wrong? Is it that
I think they
voters
got
are
a
more...
lot wrong. I mean, I think when this debate, people came out of it believing that John had a stroke and that Oz was like a snake oil salesman who was going to take away their right to an abortion, right? And people already knew that John had a stroke. So it wasn't like they were learning something new, but they also knew he was getting better. And he was brave. He was reading through captions. He was doing something that no one had really done before, and the stakes were very high. Oz, as Kip likes to say, he was like lying on television for 20 years. It was a place where he felt comfortable, and he didn't do that good a job. And then he was a little too honest in terms of talking about local political leaders taking away abortion rights. And people looked, I mean, that was the takeaway. We turned the women on the team, the second that Oz said that about local political leaders, all of us kind of yelled at the same time. And we turned that into an ad. And we you know, when people in Pennsylvania think of local political leaders, they think of people like Doug Mastriano. They don't want him, you know, in charge of their rights. And so it was a real blunder, and most reporters missed it.
I mean, Kip, I saw Rebecca say, you know, the coverage the next day was basically like candidates spar, candidates trade barbs, right? Like typical stuff. What, like, were the DC pundits not reading the local coverage, or is it a ready, fire, aim approach? Like, how do you think it got so, I don't know, twisted on social media mostly?
I think there's a tendency for reporters and political insiders, because we are the ones who care about sound bites, like nobody's harder on our candidates than ourselves, to think that this is how voters think. But pretty much everything that we know suggests that that's just another sort of DC obsession. Like, I think John was also able to survive it in part because he had never been a candidate who tried to come off as the slickest or most polished. Like, John was real. Like, that, first and foremost, that was his biggest asset, and that really continued through the stroke, through showing him flaws and all. People sometimes say that John is an effective politician because he's like a regular person. I don't know if he's a regular person. Like, if you just look at him, doesn't look like that, but he's a real person,
Right.
You're getting the real thing. It's, unfiltered. It's not scripted. It's not polished. And I think because John has always been that way, because we ran the whole campaign that way, we were able to just show people what was really happening here. And I think, to their credit, I think the voters of Pennsylvania were a lot more sympathetic to John than some of the reporters covering him.
Yeah, certainly. And frankly, I also thought that Oz came off as like really like slick and fast talking and aggressive, and it didn't play that well to me.
But his whole campaign was mean. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can't pretend to be Mr. Nice Guy when you say the things that that campaign has said. And I think it caught up with him.
Saying that if John had eaten a vegetable, he maybe wouldn't have had a stroke is one of the most insanely tone deaf, like disgraceful things I've ever seen a flack say. I'm surprised that person wasn't fired.
But that's the whole point. He didn't fire her, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she still had the job. And if anyone on our staff had said something like that, like, there would be zero tolerance for that kind of. And then what Oz did, which was so Oz-like, is then he just said, well, she doesn't speak for me. She only speaks for the campaign.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, it was just, he couldn't, no matter, even as a stroke survivor, John was much stronger than Oz ever was. And voters saw that.
Yeah. There was this huge debate at the end of the campaign in all the races about whether Democrats should be talking about abortion access, democracy, inflation, the economy. Like, some Twitter geniuses wanted to focus on Paul Pelosi for a cycle. What did you guys hear at the end from voters, and what worked when it came to persuading and turning them out?
I mean, so the voters who were still like the ones that we were persuading were those independent suburban women. And then for turnout, we were still making sure that all of our, like, everyone in Philadelphia got out to vote and things like that. And I think, first of all, we had Oprah, which was the most beautiful gift I think we could have ever asked for. And she said this very devastating quote about Oz, where she said, she said if she lived in Pennsylvania, she would have already voted for John Fetterman. And she said, for quote unquote, many reasons. And I thought that was the most devastating thing I've ever heard, because it's just like, you don't know what they are, but you know it's bad. And she just kind of dropped that news on a Thursday night. And then we had The View the next day, where we were talking to those same women. And then we had Obama come in on that Saturday. And we just felt like we had momentum. Like it just felt really, really great on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, Kip, you guys did those events with Obama at the end of the campaign. They looked big. They felt exciting, right? I was sitting here in LA on Twitter, like all inspired all over again, because I'm has been. But did those rallies translate into votes in a way you guys felt you could quantify?
I mean, it translated into great coverage, wall to wall. And also, Donald Trump gave us basically an in-kind contribution by coming to Pennsylvania on the same day. So really, like, it couldn't have been a better way to close out the campaign by showing the contrast between, somebody who's like, he was trying to present himself as moderate, but was standing with Trump, literally standing with Trump and Mastriano. Whereas John, he might have an unconventional style, but he's, a relatively mainstream Democrat. Obviously, I'd say he's a good Democrat, but he's not, they were trying to portray him as extreme and scary. And like, there's nothing extreme. And like, Biden's ratings might not have been great, but there's nothing extreme or scary about Joe Biden.
No, there is not. I mean, the flip side is you guys got a barrage of attacks. A lot of them were on crime, from Dr. Oz, from super PACs. Were there ones that really stuck or worried you? And if so, how did you rebut those?
I mean, it was $100 million in attack ads. Like, let's just talk about, like, from the middle of August to the end of September, we were out there basically by ourselves. Like we didn't get real backup until October with the outside group. So for 6 weeks, they were just beating the shit out of us all day long. And then Fox News all night long was just going after Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, the works. So it was like nonstop attacks, and they were going after his character because they knew that Oz's ratings were so low that they couldn't bring him up. So they wanted to tear John down. So they spent just like going after everything. Fox News went after John's wife, Giselle, and just like pretended that, John was a vegetable and Giselle was behind the scenes, just like crazy batshit stuff. And they just didn't stop. And they were relentless. And our side wasn't like, we weren't mean. We were talking about what was on the table. And I think voters at the end of the day decided they wanted more normal, representation than these crazy people out there. And it was very mean spirited too.
Yeah. It was nasty. $100 million. That's so much money.
But that goes back to our July stuff. Like when John was doing all the snooki, you can make fun of him. People thought he was funny and they liked him. Right. Yeah. And if you have a candidate for a state like Pennsylvania, where the Republicans are going to come after with everything they have, which is like $100 million, you got to be fucking likable at the end of the day, because like they're just going to bring those negative, approvals down as much as possible. So you have to, at the end of the day, like, you have to get people to like, to say that they're going to vote for you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This is a long question, so bear with me. But, the strategy you guys ran was very smart, in my opinion. Like, John outran Biden in these sort of rural, more red counties, pushed down Oz's numbers there, and then you run up the score in Philly and other sort of urban places to win. That sometimes gets shorthanded, including by you guys, I think, is like a strategy where Democrats have to go everywhere, right? You go to every county, you count on every vote. That's the key to victory. The pushback I hear when I sort of evangelize that kind of strategy from Democrats is they point to Beto O'Rourke's race in Texas and they say, that guy went everywhere literally for 4 years. Like, couldn't have worked harder, still fell short. I was talking to a statewide elected official the other day who said to me, like, if I hear you guys talk about this go everywhere shit one more time on your podcast, my head is going to explode, because I go everywhere. I go to red counties and it gets me nothing. So I guess the question is it better to describe the strategy as Democrats need to pick candidates like John, who for whatever reason, background, policy, look, can get a hearing everywhere, versus go everywhere?
I mean, so there's a couple different arguments here, right? Like, yes, yeah. I think we need better candidates. I think there's been this like milquetoast kind of cookie cutter Democratic ideal candidate that loses a lot of general elections that we've seen run statewide a lot. I also think a lot of this is about having candidates who know who they are and who have backbone. I mean, John went into those counties, those deep red counties, and he talked about what abortion rights, gay rights. He like there was nothing he said there that he wouldn't say in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. And he went into those counties and he said, I want to be the 51st vote for Democrats in the Senate. He wasn't afraid to be a Democrat. I mean, you remember when Obama was president, we had people running for Senate who were afraid to say they voted for him. You know, like we can't have that kind of, like, if we as a party need to actually be a little bit more confident and not ashamed of who we are. And I think that's part of it too. So it's about going to every county, but then having something to say when you go there.
Kip, you got thoughts from my go everywhere critics who yell at me?
Well, I mean, I think another lesson for from John's race that I think could apply to a lot of Democrats is, as Rebecca said, stop apologizing for being a Democrat. Just be confident in who you are and what you stand for. And I think people will respect that. But I think it's also illustrative that, John won in a year when the president was unpopular, and he didn't do it by trashing his own party. He didn't do it by throwing Biden under the bus. He didn't do it by running hard to the right. He did it by being himself, not apologizing for it, and just, having confidence in his convictions that, whatever they're going to say, we are still the party that's, closer to like what the mainstream of Pennsylvania actually wants.
And not just confidence in his convictions, but courage in his convictions. I think that's part of it too. Like, they came after us on crime. They came after us about his stroke, whatever it was, we just talked about it. Right. And John had a record to point to, and he wasn't just going to say, like, I think there's been too many Democrats who try to be Republicans on some of these issues just because they're afraid to be attacked. And I mean, John was head of the board of pardons. He allowed innocent men to leave prison because it was the right thing to do. Right. But he knew when he did that people were going to come after him and use it in attack ads. And they did. And it was like, and he did it so people wouldn't die in prison for crimes they were wrongly convicted of doing. It's like, he had humanity. And I think it comes back to that a lot.
Yeah. No, I'll be honest. When I saw his response to those attacks and the idea that he should have just sort of let a couple guys rot in prison for the rest of their lives who were wrongly convicted just because it would have been bad politics, that's when I was like, all right, this guy's for me. Okay. Looking ahead, I've luckily in this job, I've gotten to work with, talk to a lot of smart people like you. I talk to Ben Wickler, the head of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, all the time. I thank God that for what he and his team are doing every day. There's just 2 years, 4 years, party building infrastructure. What do you think Democrats need to do to be prepared in the same way in Pennsylvania in 2024? And is there the same sort of state party infrastructure that we should be investing in and building off of?
Right. I mean, as you know, I come from the Harry Reid machine, right?
Yeah.
And this is all about investing in the party infrastructure and building something for years and years and years. I think we should be doing that everywhere. I also think we need better, more competent staff, in a way that there's a lot with campaign staffers that you kind of just go and you do it for a little bit and then you leave. I think we actually need to get some professional staffers who can get better and wiser and help usher in a new generation of talent. We need a bench. We don't have that right now. I think we're starting to get some rising stars. We need more of them. But I don't think these scary right wingers are going anywhere. And I think we need to be able to fight back hard and not just, say there's some good people on that side. I think we have to understand what some of these risks are and what's out there and fight back.
Yeah. Kip, you mentioned before that Snooki was kind of your white whale. Were there any white whales that didn't get back to you, or hits you wish you could have delivered that got left on the cutting room?
I mean, we really would have loved to have done something with It's Always Sunny, just given the connection there. It just sort of seemed like a match made in heaven, but that, proved to be difficult for contractual issues. I mean, for a long time, we had been hearing about there's this puppy story that's coming, and we just kept hearing about it in the background for months and months and months. And it just sounded like the worst thing ever. And then it came out and it kind of was.
It was worse than we had heard it would be. Yes.
Yeah. It was disgraceful. I mean, inhuman. I mean, that's such a good example of how politics and campaigning has changed, because when I was like doing oppo hits against Sarah Palin, right? Like you beg the Wall Street Journal to write that story up for 6 months based on some oppo. And like, if they run it, you're psyched. If not, it can just die. Like the fact that where did that end up? It was, Gawker. Yeah, it was Jezebel, right? Like it didn't matter that it was on, you know, a blog that some people might not have heard about before. Like it exploded either way.
Well, because it was true. I mean, it exploded because like he couldn't deny it. Like he was like, he did the most horrible things. And the contrast of that with John and Giselle having these like rescue pups, like, I mean, they have a three-legged dog who had been abused. I mean, they are rescue dog people. So like Oz could not have been more like the cartoon villain, I would say, except he was actually like killing puppies. I mean, it was like, you couldn't make it up.
Yeah, that's just the worst. Final thoughts, just any like final thoughts from both of you on lessons to learn from this cycle and things we should just be thinking about going forward, because obviously, you know, the results were better than a lot of us anticipated. Maybe they were better than we anticipated because Democrats sometimes, myself very much included, assume the worst is going to happen based on recent history. But Rebecca, why don't you go first?
I mean, abortion, like let's talk about that for just one more second. Like we would not be where we are today, all the Democrats, unless women's rights were taken away very drastically and horribly, right? And we can't just sit around and high five. Like we have to fight back. We have to codify Roe. We have to codify same-sex marriage. Like we have a lot of work to do. And as we go into the next Congress, we got to try and push through as much as possible, because I think there's some really bad things coming. And I think the lesson here is like, when you get power, like, let's produce some results.
Use it, yeah. Kip, thoughts?
I mean, one thing I would love the party to take away from this is reevaluating the idea, its idea of who we consider to be electable. I mean, I think often there's just this assumption that bland and generic candidates are going to be our best chance of winning, and I just don't know that it's really played out that way. I think, in fact, you know, a lot of these white bread candidates, they try to appeal to absolutely everyone, and as a result, they excite pretty much no one. And I think one of the reasons John was able to succeed this year is in large part because he's not straight from central casting. It allowed him to establish his own sort of independent image. It means he doesn't necessarily like rise and fall along with Biden. And I think, you know, we could be missing it. We've missed out on a lot of candidates like John before I think.
In fact, we missed out on him in 2016 when he ran.
That's right. That's right.
The party went with somebody else.
I mean, this isn't John, but I was trying to think, when was the last time you think the Democrats ran a candidate for a statewide office who had not graduated from college, for example? Like there's clearly like a massive gap in terms of Republicans and Democrats in terms of college educated voters. And I wonder if we tried speaking to those voters from a place of experience, for example, you know?
Yeah, or shamelessly embracing economic populism. We know it works, but too many Democrats aren't into that. So
yeah. And super, super tall U.S. senators. I think that's
No
really,
hair.
really tall.
No hair.
Well, listen, Kip, Rebecca, thank you guys for everything you did to make this happen. Literally can't thank you enough for, like, you know, saving democracy.
And a special thank you to all the Pod Save boys. I mean, we were up against Fox News and we had like you. So thank you, because there is not an apparatus to really effectively deal with the right-wing media that's coming at us. And so we thank you for what you do as well.
Listen, you're very nice to say that. We are trying to build a progressive media infrastructure. If you wouldn't mind letting some of the folks over at the White House know that it would be a good thing to help cultivate and build and care and feed places like us, that would be helpful. But listen, we're going to do it anyway, so I appreciate it.
Not sure if they listen to me, but sounds good.
They should.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you.
Bye.
Pod Save America is brought to you by Article. Article has everything you need to turn your bedroom into your best room, all for a great price. Love Article. Used it a lot. We have Article furniture in the office. Also, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they just got their house renovated, and they were so happy to get an Article bed. They said it looks great. They were very happy with the experience. Article is the easiest way to make your space look beautiful. They combine the curation of a boutique furniture store with the comfort and simplicity of shopping online. Their team of designers focuses on beautifully crafted pieces, quality materials, and durable construction. They are dedicated to a modern aesthetic of mid-century Scandinavian, industrial, and bohemian designs. Fast, affordable shipping is available across the USA and Canada and is free on orders over $999. All in-stock items are delivered in 2 weeks or less. Article cuts out the middleman and sells directly to you. No showrooms, no salespeople, no retail markups. You save up to 30% over traditional retail prices. Article's offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/crooked and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/crooked for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Pod Save America is brought to you by Blue Land. The holidays can create even more waste than usual. Each year, Americans throw away 25% more trash from Thanksgiving to New Year's. What if we told you there was a way to get all your holiday shopping done without the guilty feeling over the waste that typically comes with it? Meet Blue Land. Blue Land's on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by inventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet. In this holiday season, Blue Land's having its best sale of the year, so you can save and shop sustainably for your friends, family, even yourself. The idea is simple. Grab one of the beautiful Forever bottles, fill it with warm water, drop in the tablet, and get cleaning. Refills start at $2.25, and you don't have to buy a new plastic bottle every time you run out. You can even set up a subscription or buy in bulk, so you never run out of the products you use the most. Try their Clean Essentials kit, which has everything you need to get started in signature scents, such as iris agave, fresh lemon, and eucalyptus mint. Plus, for a limited time, Blue Land's hand soap is getting a festive upgrade with a beautiful chocolate box-inspired gift set.
Ooh, wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that got your attention, didn't it? Love it. With
You bet.
cozy scents like evergreen, winterberry, and peppermint.
Hell yeah.
Love Blue Land.
It really is a great idea. I just went to their website because we need some hand soap in our house, so getting that done right now.
Yeah, we have Blue Land products, and they look great. You don't have to keep ordering more plastic, and the products are just fantastic. To take advantage of their best sale of the year, go to blueland.com/crooked. You don't want to miss this. Blueland.com/crooked. That's blueland.com/crooked. Pod Save America is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. We all have people in our lives who we're thankful to for helping us navigate life.
Sure do.
Your spouse, nanny, therapist, assistant, housekeeper.
All of the above. Producers.
Producers. We can also be grateful for those who make our work lives easier. That's why it's so important to have the right people on your team. And if you want to hire those people for your business, you need ZipRecruiter.
You do.
Need ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/crooked. What's to appreciate about ZipRecruiter? What's not to appreciate
That's
about
really the
ZipRecruiter
question.
is really the question. It uses powerful technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job. You can easily review these recommended candidates and invite your top choices to apply. Additionally, you'll love ZipRecruiter's complete suite of tools. Got a suite of tools right here.
Hey,
It's right here in the
my
studio.
favorite suite of tools.
It's like the Kushner and his buddies.
Because they make it so easy to filter, review, and rate your candidates. Plus, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, if you want a stress-free hiring process, trust me, you'll be so thankful you tried ZipRecruiter. Just go to our special URL to try it for free. ZipRecruiter.com/crooked. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/CROOKED. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. All right, before we go, Hallie Kiefer is back.
She's back.
By popular
We're all
demand.
Why are you waving at us? It's a podcast.
I know, we're in the same room.
We're going to play a game about Donald Trump in honor of his announcement today.
It's exciting.
Hallie, take it away.
I will, thank you.
Okay, good.
Over the weekend, Senate running back Josh Hawley tweeted, the old party is dead. Time to bury it, build something new. While Hawley might want to inter Trump's legacy, his fellow Republicans are running in circles trying to decide the party line on the former president, given that Daddy Boy is going to be announcing his 2024 run on Tuesday night. Are they all going to run like rats off the ship? Or are they excited to scrape Trump's ketchup off the White House walls for 4 more years? While plenty of Republicans seem confused about whose boots to start licking, Trump's or Ron DeSantis' gorgeous white knee-high numbers, others have made a definitive statement, and that's all I needed to bring you a game. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to read you the name of a Republican. You're going to tell me what you think they've indicated post-midterms with regards to Trump. Are they riding the Trump train, exiting the Trump train via the emergency exit, or are they sort of just dangling precariously, holding on with one hand to the Trump train as like a Bond villain's henchman as the Republican Party hurtles around a sheer cliff? So those are the options: riding, exiting, or dangling.
Got it.
I'm just going to read the name, and you'll let me know where do you think we've landed. And I'm going to read you the quote that, again, Can any of them be trusted? No. And also, you might have all heard this. The post-election cycle has been like insane in the news. But are you ready to play?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So
All right.
ready.
Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican of Louisiana, and love it. I guarantee you probably don't know the answer to this.
Mhm.
What did he say with regards to Trump on Meet the Press? And is he riding? Is he exiting? Or is he dangling?
I know what he said.
Okay.
I know what he said.
Well,
he
where do
said,
you think he said it?
He said, we're not a cult,
Mhm.
is what he said.
Hmm.
But honestly, it seemed like a way out of answering. To me, he's dangling.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it.
It felt like it was between dangle and
Being an
exit.
I know.
But I think I go with dangle.
Yeah, Louisiana. I think you're dangling for dear life.
I think
you
he's-
can't jump off that train yet.
I think he'd like to leave the train,
Mm.
but he doesn't feel.
I mean,
safe
most
to.
of these people are
Yeah,
in
nobody
their
wants to be
they're
on the train.
they're leaving in their hearts.
Yeah.
How do we adjudicate this? Do we call them?
I think there's unfortunately no way to know. It's
Okay.
a game with no meaning. It
I love
exists in a liminal time. Hopefully, it will. Also, even if there were definitive answers, they just change their minds. That's the
Perfect.
problem with the
That's true.
Republican
All
Party.
right. I think his majority rules dangling.
Great.
Dangling.
And
It's
just
a
to read the
dangle.
full quote, we're not a cult. We're not like, okay, there's one person who leads our party. Could have fooled me, Bill Cassidy. How do we feel about Senator-elect? I'm sorry to even say that. J.D. Vance out of Ohio. How do you think?
Tough.
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
He's
he is
the
on that train.
He's got to
Yeah,
be on
he's
the
riding
train.
it.
That
There's
train
no
got
way.
him where he needed
Yeah.
to go.
Peter Thiel paid for that with good money.
Yeah, that's how he got his ticket.
Now, this I can say definitively yes, because he said every year the media writes Donald Trump's political obituary, and every year we're quickly reminded that Trump remains the most popular figure in the Republican Party. That, of course, was saying he's excited for Trump to be the 2024 nominee. J.D. Vance absolutely riding.
Fact check true. That whole statement.
Fabulous. Senator John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, and I guarantee you might
South
not
Dakota.
know.
Doesn't make
What the
sense to
answer is-
do the voice.
Well, it's just it's beautiful.
I feel as though he's going to exit the Trump train sooner or later.
Oh. Ooh. Well, that blew my hair back. Obviously, you can't see it again. We are videotaping this. My eyebrows are just singed by that.
Oh wow. I mean, I think he wants to exit. He's probably wanted to exit for a while.
I bet
Yeah.
I bet he said something that's a dangle.
Yeah, I think he's a
Yeah,
dangler.
I-
He's not trying to. He doesn't want to make, not because he doesn't want off, but because he didn't want to make news.
Yeah.
I think he's.
And he
dangling.
wants to be minority leader, majority leader.
I'm going to say it. He actually went public. He basically blamed Trump's endorsements for the midterms losses. And he said, you can't have a party that's built around one person's personality. Again, they really did try, though.
Wow.
Sooner or later, he's out of here. You know what I mean?
It's just the
It's
same
the same
joke.
joke.
I know.
No, it's funnier when he said it. It was funnier, honestly. It felt better when he said it.
So that's,
Yeah.
I think
The
that's an
listeners
exit.
agreed.
That's more of an exit than Cassidy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
for sure,
I agree.
for
A
sure,
little bit
yeah.
more.
And then how about Representative Elise Stefanik from
no.
New York?
Ugh.
Where do you think we're headed with
She
this?
is so on.
yeah.
She's the conductor.
Yeah, she's in. She's in. Yeah, she's in.
Yeah, she got one of those hats with the lines on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if he asked her to or wanted her to, but she already preemptively endorsed Trump, so threw her
Unbelievable.
weight behind him.
Unbelievable.
Wow,
I'm proud-
Harvard's finest.
I'm proud to
That's
endorse
cool.
Donald Trump for president 2024. It's time for Republicans to unite around the most popular Republican in America who has a proven track record of conservative governance.
I just want to say one more time about this place called Harvard. They take all these kids, half of them turn evil, and then the evil ones battle the good ones for 500 years. So stupid. Shut it down. Take away their endowment. Tax it. Do
Wow.
something.
Wow.
This place has to be stopped.
Harvard grads, let us know what you think.
And they waitlisted me twice.
I was going to tell a terrible story about going to Harvard, but millions of people listen to this. It's not really worth it.
Doesn't stop love it.
Yeah. Oh,
You gotta forget that.
I went to Harvard once and I got crabs, and that's all I'm saying.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's my experience with the institution. Tom Cotton, where do we think he's? Is he riding? Is he jumping out the back of the train, or is he holding on for dear life?
He's got to dangle. He's got to dangle.
I have no idea, but I'm gonna say riding because he did float hilariously that he was considering a run, but he decided against it. Not that the people decided they hated him and they didn't want him to run. So I'm gonna say riding.
So I heard that you said over the weekend that like McConnell should still be minority leader. So that's going to lead me to a dangle position
Okay.
because if you're with McConnell,
You got to leave
Yeah.
yourself some
Yeah,
space.
I think you're absolutely right. Here's a quote I pulled. When any party is out of power, as Republicans are now, we don't have a single leader. Trump is obviously very popular with many of our voters. We also have other important leaders as well.
Yeah,
What
sure.
does that
That's a
mean?
da- that's a
word
dangle.
That's a
salad.
dangle,
That's
baby.
a dangle.
That's a real dangle.
That's a dangle.
He
Baby.
doesn't
a
want to
lot of
say.
Republicans dangling off
Yeah.
this train.
Doesn't want to say too much too soon.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I think he's cottoning on to some of this Trump
Yeah,
lack of popularity.
there we go.
Heyo.
How many people have turned this off? It's just us now.
Hey, stay tuned for the
Good point.
C block for a lot of puns.
David Axelrod is here.
Little Marco Rubio.
Oh,
Where are we going?
So he's one of the little mini insurrectionists saying they should delay the vote on Senate minority majority leader, whatever it turns out to be. No, minority.
There's
For McConnell.
there is not a he has to dangle. It is in his bones. He does not
Yeah.
know how to ride the train, doesn't know how to lead the train. He is
Right.
dangling.
yeah.
There's no courage
He
in
has no-
those
He never breaks with the base.
5-inch heels he wears.
This
Nothing wrong
is-
with being
he,
short.
His big chair.
That's nothing. Being short is fine.
He tweeted.
You don't need to
"First,
be strong to be a good senator. That's an
we
old
get
thing.
it.
Fetterman.
We get it.
It's unbelievable.
A man of a certain height. John Lovett.
What does height do now? Nothing.
That's
just-
true. We're all sitting anyways.
Yeah.
We love to sit in front of a computer.
I love sitting
Tall presidents.
Where are we? What's happening?
Read the quote, Hallie.
First, we need to make sure that those who want to lead us are genuinely committed to fighting for the priorities and values of the working Americans, parentheses, of every background, who gave us big wins in states like #Florida. To me, that's a DeSantis, the
That's
Florida
a way
of it all.
of that's
right?
a way of praising DeSantis while feigning towards suggesting a criticism of
Right.
Trump while never actually making it.
It's a dangle. That's
It's a
that's
dangle,
fast
100%.
dangle.
Marco
Yeah.
Rubio
He invented
is
the
the
dangle.
king of a double negative to avoid saying the positive.
Mhm.
Like this party cannot be in the business of being anti-working class. You know what I mean? He just does the
I just want to credit Hallie for when she said parenthetical, she did kind of a curve with her hand.
Yeah.
So we
Right,
can
because
For the-
we're
for the
again,
visual
you can
medium.
visibly see me, which is why I wait.
It helps me.
yeah. It's on the
We do
YouTube.
the
It's on the
same
It will
YouTube.
be on YouTube. We do have a website.
Two more.
Mm-hmm.
What is it even really? I just put it on here because I thought it was interesting. And this isn't even specifically about the midterms, but it's just sort of the timing of Mike Pence's ABC News interview, which drops this,
we didn't talk
this
about
tonight.
that.
This can't be a coincidence that it's coming out now. And I'm asking you, Choo Choo, is the Trump train leaving the station? And is Mike Pence on it? And then I will read you the quote because to me, I think it's pretty like, okay.
Yeah, no, he's
think he's off.
He's off of it because otherwise he would have been dragged behind it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he got off the train, and then it's been a couple hours, and he's looking around the station, and he's just a sad, lonely boy with a suitcase, and his mom hasn't picked him up yet, and he doesn't know what's going to happen.
They tried to kill him on the train. They tried to.
Right.
It was
They
like
tried
a
to
murder.
Throw,
It was
throw Mike Pence from the
yeah,
train.
It was
Throw
murder
him
on the Trump train.
Murder on the MAGA Express.
Yeah, it was a case too easy for our man on the train, Hercule Poirot, because we all know who did it. It was Trump with the noose at the Capitol.
Oh my God.
So the clip that the ABC News released is him talking about January 6th and sort of being asked, like, what do you think about what Trump did? And Mike Pence says, I turned to my daughter who was standing nearby and said, it doesn't take courage to break the law. It takes courage to uphold the law.
Oh my!
The president's
God.
words were reckless,
Eat shit.
and he clearly decided to be a part of the problem, adding, he endangered me and my family and everyone at the Capitol building.
First of all, that is the most Mike Pence thing I've ever fucking heard. First of all, it's such a stupid way to describe an emotional just say he tried to fucking kill you. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. Second of all, how can you be given a layup like that and miss? It does take courage to break the law. I don't think it's good when people rob a bank, but you got to be brave.
What conservative
You know what I
fiction
mean?
writer did he turn to design that little vignette?
Yeah.
I think he's a hero.
Oh,
What a goofball.
two sides to every story, I guess.
I mean, you forget that the guy wasn't alone in the Capitol. He was with his kids. And he still doesn't have the guts to say anything until he's a book to roll out. Ugh, Mike Pence.
I don't know if it'll be a bestseller.
No, I don't think
I don't think
Nobody
it will.
will.
I
read
can't
that.
wait for, I was at Tommy's book club.
Oh,
it's Tommy's book club.
It'll be so hard to read that. Maybe I'll read it.
We have one more person, just
Okay.
because I love the quote he had, and that person is Newt Gingrich.
Oh.
Ooh.
Recently
There's
floated
fun.
to return as speaker by Matt Gaetz.
Oh my goodness.
Honestly, not his worst pitch, to be honest. I mean, just on the list.
terms
What
of
makes the most
experience.
sense.
Better
based
than
on the
Tulsi
rest.
Gabbard.
Better than bringing
Yeah.
a Fox News kook.
He was like Tulsi.
Actually, they're both
Yeah,
Fox
they're
News.
both- yeah,
Gingrich.
they're both the original Fox News.
He's
dude.
He's
Fox News was
he's
built around him.
Yeah, he's the Fox News kook. If you dig under this in like the mausoleum, the equivalent of where they'll find Cleopatra's bones, you found Newt Gingrich.
Here's the quote. I feel, and this is in regards to the midterm results. I feel like a guy whose compass is so goofed up, I have no idea which way is north. The Republican Party
Wow.
is goofed up.
Wow.
There's no better way to
He's
say it. It's like, yeah,
dangling.
you're goofed up right now.
Congrats on
that's
trying
it's like a
mushrooms.
genuine dangle.
Yeah, look at that.
I think
Sincere
Newt,
dangle?
I think Newt is torn.
Yeah, Newt has he's a seer dang. He's really he doesn't know what
We
what
might be able to get
do.
Newt.
He's goofed
Well,
up.
we're never gonna get Newt. You don't think we could get Newt?
Well, remember,
We'll trade him for Henry Cuellar.
My friend Liz Cheney over here begs to differ.
remember when Newt did the TV ads about climate
Yeah.
change on the couch?
Sat on that bench with
Pelosi?
Pelosi.
2005.
A long time
Then he had to
ago.
walk that
It's a
back.
brief
He's like,
flickering-
actually, it's good. I like how
I
hot
love
and
climate
wet
change.
everything is now. But I just, our phenomenal writer, Sarah Lazarus, wrote, and I just want to read this to you. Grand old party, more like goofed old party.
Wow.
Again, this Sarah Lazarus, thank you for
Wow.
that.
Better
Wow,
than
thank
this
ended
you.
game
up
couldn't have ended. Damn it!
Damn it!
couldn't have ended a moment too soon.
Oh, fuck. If you hadn't fucked that up.
All right,
you,
everyone.
gentlemen.
Hallie Kiefer,
Thank
thank you
you.
for a fantastic game. Rebecca Katz, Kip Hebert, thanks for joining us. We will talk to you on Thursday. See
you
y'all
at the
soon.
movies.
Pod Save America is a Crooked Media production. The executive producer is Michael Martinez. Our senior producer is Andy Gardner-Bernstein. Our producers are Haley Muse and Olivia Martinez. It's mixed and edited by Andrew Chadwick. Kyle Seglin and Charlotte Landis sound engineered the show. Thanks to Hallie Kiefer, Ari Schwartz, Sandy Gerard, Andy Taft, and Justine Howe for production support. And to our digital team, Elijah Cohn, Phoebe Bradford, Milo Kim, and Amelia Montu. Our episodes are uploaded as videos at youtube.com/podsaveamerica.